we are moving on to the last letter. We have letter 3. This is a very short letter, but I think it is a very impactful letter. Dear Building Better Leaders, I manage a team with a few incredibly sharp, high-performing individuals. Honestly, they know more than I do in many areas. I admire their expertise, but I sometimes feel intimidated. They speak with more confidence, come up with better ideas on the fly, and even get more recognition from upper management. I worry that I'm just the person who sets up meetings and write follow-up notes. I want to add value, but how do you lead when your team outshines you? Or am I just in a way? Yeah. So what if this person feels that he or she is not the smartest person in the room?
I'm laughing because I am very often not the smartest person in the room.
Okay.
And the value that I bring by not being the smartest person in the room is that my imagination can wander further, and I can suggest things that the smarter people would never think of doing. So that is one value that I bring by not being very smart in terms of the technical expertise. Um, I think what this letter writer can think about is that different people bring different things to the table. And the role of the leader is not necessarily to be the smartest one or the one who has all the answers, but rather the leader is like an orchestra conductor. As a conductor, you are not better than the violinist or the bassist or the percussionist or the drummer. You're not the best performer, but you can
Yeah.
orchestrate and bring out the best performance in everyone. So that is really the role of the leader. It's not to be smarter, but it's to leverage on all the different talents that your team brings into the room. That should take a
Nice.
lot of the pressure off.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think then it's then important to learn how to be an orchestra conductor rather than being the technical person who knows how to, play the violin or play the bass and all. I think that's really important. Um, I think the other thing I would like to the letter writer to consider as well is actually why was he being put in that position by the bosses. I think it's really important. Like if the bosses or the manage or the company puts this person there to be this orchestra conductor, then it's very clear. Then this person can learn out the skills to be an orchestra conductor. But if this person is brought in to be a technical person, in other words, to be a better violinist player or to be a better pianist in this case, then there's going to be a mismatch. I think it's really important for this letter writer to clarify the reason why they're being put in that position. Because if it's for technical reasons, which this person comes across as, they're saying that he or she doesn't have that, then I think there will be a mismatch. And if there's a mismatch, I don't think it's going to be helpful for this person to continue to be in that position. So it's to renegotiate with the management to say that I don't think that if you're looking, at me to be the technical expertise to these people, I don't think I am because they are way better than me. But if you are looking at, you know, getting everyone to shine together, not apart, then I'm the right person, right? In this case, so I think it's to clarify that part. So once you are very clear of the reason why you are being put in that position, then if it's a conductor position, then it's really about shining by being a conductor to get everyone to play together.
I like that. That's a very good place to look to find out why you were hired and what is the expectation of your role. This reminds me of a story of one of my clients. Um, she is the CEO of a tech company, and she hired this guy to be head of tech. So, head of tech in programming. Obviously, you need to have some kind of technical expertise, right?
Yeah.
So she hired a guy who she thought could do the job. And 6 months later, this guy tendered his resignation, and he said that I have there's no value that I can add. Your tech team, they are all smarter than me. They can code and program better than I can. So I don't think I can be of service. I cannot add value. So here's my resignation. And the CEO tore it up and said, I don't need you to do what they are doing. You're right, they're good at their job. But what I need you for is that you're good in communicating. You can understand them the way that a tech person can understand, and you can also understand our clients who are not tech people. So you are the bridge, and I need you because you're the only person who can be the bridge. So I think what you mentioned is exactly it. Find out what is the value that you bring, and why were you hired. It may not be what you think it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is something which back when I was in corporate, I would usually tell this to all my head of departments, right? That whenever someone new joins you, it's very important to explain to that person why they were hired versus, you know, 20 others who applied for that job. There must be a reason why. Because clearly the hiring manager saw something in that person. So then they know that why they were hired, right? I think it's very important. So sometimes if today you have to ask ourselves, back then actually why of all the people that I was chosen for this, what is it that they see in me, right? So then at least I know what I can bring to the table, and also to also understand what are the areas which I may not be very good at, so that I can improve on that as well. So that's why I think every time when I this is where I sometimes will catch my head of departments to see whether or not they do their job. So when if they meet up with a new person, I ask them and say, hey, do you know why you were hired in this? If they say, yeah, I know this person told me this, then it's great, good job. But if they say, no, I don't know, then I say, okay, please find out from your head department, why were you hired for this position, right? So at least you know your strengths, right? And then also ask the head department as well, what areas they actually have question marks about you when they were thinking of when they were hiring you in the hiring process, because they would like to be able to because they're not very sure whether or not you can bring to the table or not. So you need to know all these things as well, so that you can work on all those things, right? So I think very similar in this case, like for this person, this letter, right? This letter writer, they need to know why they were hired, why they were being put in this position. I think moving to the next step is, once they know, for example, assuming that this person is hired to be the so-called the orchestra conductor, then I think it's also important for this person to be able to communicate it with the team as well, right? To in essence gather the team together, because sometimes the team themselves, they do not know why this person was being put above them in this case, right? And most of the time they will be thinking like, look, this guy can't even play the piano well, can't even why. So I think it's important to be able to be clear about this. So this is where this letter writer needs to be able to gather all of them together to address the elephant in the room, to kind of say that, dear everyone, you'll probably be thinking that I'm being hired in this position to be able to do all these things. I can play some of these instruments, but I'm not the best. But that's not the reason why I'm being put in this position. I'm being put in this position so that I will be able to help you and all of us to be able to play better as an orchestra in this case. That's like 50 of us. So clearly, one who sits in the east wing and the other sits towards the west can't hear one another. So I will be able to be in the middle to help everyone to be able to play together and sound well together, because I can hear everyone, in this case. So that is my role, to make sure that all of us shine together, not apart, right? So I think that those needs to be communicated. If not, there's an assumption that you're there to be able to help them in technical knowledge in this case. So I've seen a lot of times in where I was previously in advertising, right? That form comes in a, like, for example, if the person do search marketing or performance marketing, very, very technical work. And a lot of times, some of these managers that they were brought in to take care of so-called a group of performance digital marketers, this person struggles because they say, look, I know some of this, but I'm not as expert as them. They can do much better, right? So I'm not too sure what kind of value am I adding to them. So this is where this situation is where I say you need to then clarify why were you brought in. If you're brought in to be able to give value, or in terms of technical expertise, then I think it's a mismatch. But if you're there to be able to make sure that, like what you said, you understand the client better and you can communicate it, if that is the value, then you need to be able to then communicate that to the group of people. And that's how you can play to your strength. I think that is important. A lot of times we don't have that kind of conversations with the top as well as also with the bottom. So it is this letter writer's responsibility to get the clarification that he or she needs.
I'm not sure if the letter writer has a little bit of imposter syndrome. It was not specifically mentioned, but reading between the lines, yeah, it says that they speak with more confidence, come up with better ideas and all that. So just want to share this little story with the letter writer and with the audience. There was a time many years ago when I was I was in a workshop with a lot of international participants, and we were given a group challenge, which was something to do with how to survive in the wilderness or something like that. And I had absolutely no clue how to survive in the wilderness. I don't even like camping. And there were some really smart people in the group, including the person who immediately took charge. He's a stockbroker from Hong Kong. Very fast thinking, very sharp, very fast. And then there was a lady who was an outdoor guide from Australia. So she also had a lot of knowledge. And there were 2 or 3 people who had a lot to share. And I felt like I am really the stupidest person in the group. I don't know why I am there using up oxygen. But what I noticed was that the group dynamics was just the 2 or 3 people talking, and there were about 5 or 6 others who were just very quiet. So after a while, all I said was, hang on, can we just listen to everyone's views? And then I just invited everyone to have an opportunity to speak up. And then we came up with a richer solution because everyone had contributed something. And then I thought, okay lah, never mind lah. I'm in a group of really smart people. I'm really lucky. And that was the end of the exercise. Then what we didn't anticipate was that the trainer gave us a twist and said that, okay, so you guys have solved the problem and so on. Now, everyone, put your finger in the air, and on the count of 3, I want you to point to the person who was the leader of the group. What blew my mind was they all pointed to me. The most ignorant person there. So I think I just wanted to share this so that those who are in leadership positions who don't think that you have the technical expertise, leadership is not only about knowing what to do, but it's being able to, again, going back to that analogy of the orchestra conductor, just making sure that your team is able to contribute their talent and skills so that the whole group can get the job done.
Okay. As we close to this letter writer, one thing that you said just now really sparked something which perhaps is one of those quests which every time when I were to talk to anyone, I'll kind of rage against it to a certain extent. It is that the understanding that a leader needs to know everything. I think that is something which a lot of times, I don't blame them, right? Because that's how they were probably brought up. from a leadership perspective, but that's also how all of us are being brought up anyway, right? So the entire Google business model is built on giving answers, right? And when we were young, and I remember the teachers would ask me any question, I supposed to have the answer. If I don't have an answer, then I'm not smart, right? I'm stupid in this case, right? So I think then that is then translated or transferred to how we lead as well. I think to a certain extent that is true when there's many years ago, when there's less of choices, decisions are pretty simple. But these days where we live in a very they call it the VUCA world, where it's just hyper unpredictable, a leader cannot have all the answers. That is really, it's going to it's going to take on a lot of pressure on this person, right? To be able to have all the answers. I think the smartest person in the room is the person who's able to bring out the wisdom from the team. I think that's really important, right? And that is where, if you are able, as a leader, is able to bring out the wisdom from the team and to be able to curate and comb through and decide to say, okay, based on everyone's feedback, this is what I'm hearing. Let's do this instead, right? Everyone here agree we should be doing this. So it's to be able to listen, ask questions. These are very key skills instead of giving statements. So that's what I am being reminded when you share that story.
Totally agree with you there. Today's leader is not the one with all the answers, but the one who knows what kind of questions to ask.
Okay, so what do we have for our letter writer? What this person can do immediately is, first of all, is to understand their role. Why were they hired? So I think it's something to get clarity with the top. And if they were hired to, in this case, to be another technical expertise, then this person would not be very helpful. So then it's best to probably leave the position or renegotiate for a new position. But if this person is being hired to be an orchestra conductor, to be able to get everyone to work together, to make sure that they shine together and not apart,